Waggler floats then, folks. There's so many different shapes and patterns out there, but I'm going to break them down to sort of 3 different areas for you. Nice and simple to understand. You've got your straights, you've got your inserts, and then you've got your pellet wagglers. I'm going to very briefly going to touch on the pellet wagglers for you, because we can go through them when it's nice and warm and catch loads of great big carps. I want to focus mainly on the straights and the inserts today. So without further ado, we have got insert floats. Now, what do we mean by an insert float? Well, it's this bit at the top, folks. So especially for like this time of year when it's cold and bites are at a premium, unless you're on blooming Jamie's Peg where you just get bites all the time, then that's why you need the sensitivity of the insert. So basically these will pop out, and then you can change them, they'll go in, that'll pop out, and it's all to do with how you can dot this float down. So it's basically like, you know, having a nice fine pole float on, you know, with how you shot it and everything like that. You've seen the bites as soon as they happen. Brilliant for like open water like we are today. Doesn't really matter how windy it is, you'll get away with it. You just go, you know, sort of more over depth at the bottom end, at the business end. But when you come to fishing sort of rivers and that, or when it starts to warm up a little bit and you might want to go, you know, fishing bigger baits like heavier pellets or something like that, then that's when you need your straights on. So you notice this float is completely straight, no insert whatsoever. Very, very good for, as I say, holding bigger baits or for fishing on rivers. You know, nice and visible, but no good for fishing this time of year when, you know, even if you dotted that float down, as soon as the fish touches it, it's got all the rest of this float to feel. So you're just going to miss out on far too many fish. So save these kind of floats until it, you know, the weather warms up a little bit. Always stick to your inserts. And then lastly, as I say, I'm only going to briefly touch on these because we can cover these again. You've got your pellet wagglers. So think of heights of summer. Oh, it seems ages off at the minute, doesn't it, folks? But soon be here, I promise you. So heights of summer, and again, we've got loaded and unloaded floats. So we've got foam floats here where you're putting your shots on yourself, and we've got the actual loaded ones for like when you want to sit that float in position when you're waiting for a bite. Much, much thicker. Again, you wouldn't use them fishing sort of traditional baits. It's all for, like, as the name suggests, funnily enough, pellets. So we'll cover them later. But don't confuse yourself. As I say, folks, this time of year, stick to your inserts. When it starts warming up a bit, go onto your straights and you will not go wrong. Loaded or unloaded, folks, for the floats. 90% of my fishing is done with loaded floats. Now, loaded floats all the way, as you say, is in the bottom end of the float, so it'll only take a few sort of dust shot to bring that float bristle right the way down. Unloaded floats, that's when I don't particularly like them, because you've got to put the non-toxic, harsh non-toxic shots around your float to get that float to sit down to where you want it. Dead simple. As I say, when you're not wanting to complicate things, go for loaded floats because you need the dust shot. But when you're fishing maybe rivers and you want to put more shot down the line, that's when you go for sort of unloaded floats. Nice and simple. Get on the loaded floats.